Yes. So good evening, everyone.
This is good evening, so. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, so.
Yes. Good to see you all, distinguished gentlemen. Let me say tonight, this is the Workers' Voice tonight. We are already the 5th of March, already and moving. And, let me just say a special good night to all our listeners, those who are tuned in via the various medium. We just want to welcome you tonight, another good edition of the Workers' Voice. And let me just say a special good night to our executive members and our caretakers and Dominica and to everyone who's essential. Special good night to you all. Yeah, I understand that the city council elections will be taking place very soon, and a number of candidates are vying to give service to the development of Roseau. I just wish everyone who is participating, I wish he or she and everyone who is participating, I wish them very good luck in their endeavors. Since it has to do with the development of Roseau, I for that, and raw applicable, we who not part of the council can have our say. I hope that we are welcome to have our say. So tonight with us, we have a distinguished gentleman and former parliamentary representative for the Wesley constituency, and parliamentarian, and also former Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Peter Carbon. Well, I don't want to. I am not going to steal the spotlight from you, because I know when I'm talking to people like yourself, I have to be careful given the amount of experience and the years that you have been in this business. So I'll leave it for you to do that in a while. And we also have with us our distinguished political leader, Honorable Dr. Thompson Fountain, world-renowned economist, a man who has the people in his heart and would like to see that one day Dominica's economy will be transformed to the betterment of those who would like to enjoy Dominica, work hard and enjoy Dominica. And so Dr. Thompson Fountain is giving his all to it. He could have been anywhere else in the world, but has chosen to stay here and to help us. So we want to commend him for this effort. And we are very, very, very lucky and appreciative of him being the leader of the United Workers' Party. So gentlemen, good night to you all. And first of all, Honorable Dr. Peter, I almost called you doctor, but you're a doctor. I'm Peter Carbon, my former boss at the Banana Association, trained us very well. And no wonder some of us who were trained under Mr. Carbon and the rest of the guys, we have remained resilient and positive in our lives. Mr. Carbon, just for the record, I know that you have been involved in agriculture for a very long time, and you must be able to walk us through where you started and to tell us how it is that you have become so formidable. And as we speak, even while you're out of state, you have still made agriculture a part of your life and continue to contribute immensely in the Florida area. So tell us about it. We are listening.
First, I would like to just say good evening to Dr. Fountain. I want to tell him congratulations. And for his effort in trying to present an alternative to the people of Dominica. I think he's been doing very, very good in terms of providing an alternative governance for our country. And I want to tell him that I'm fully supportive of what he's doing, and I'll do everything to ensure that Dominicans understand what they're missing in terms of management of our country. Well, yeah, as you said, that I joined the Department of Agriculture in Dominica in 1972. That's under E.O. Leblanc as Premier and Mr. Etienne as the Minister of Agriculture and Dr. Yankee as Chief Agriculture Officer. That's a long, long time ago. And I must say my entire working life has been in agriculture, in all areas of agriculture. And I kind of disappointed in how agriculture has come in Dominica. Not kind of disappointed, I'm very disappointed, because I know the importance of agriculture in terms of supporting many, many lives in Dominica. The country was built around agriculture, and to see the hundreds of farm families that used to live more or less a middle class life because of the opportunity they had in producing and selling the crops, and to see that it's almost disappeared in Dominica. And to make it worse, to hear the figures, or just today, I would listen to the radio, our food import bill. I mean, when you look at that kind of expense we spend on importing food, that tells you that Dominica agriculture has gone way, I mean, even before the creation of the country. So backwards. So yeah, I'd like to just share some ideas tonight. Hopefully our farmers or farm families or the children farmers will understand that there is opportunity to make money. I mean, we know farmers used to make $3,000-$4,000 a month, 5,000, like the average farmer, from the farm while we were extension officers, Glenroy.
That's correct.
And that was a middle class. That was a higher salary than most civil servants got. And we have the experience of seeing civil servants leaving their government job and go on the farm because at that time it was paying better. And nothing should take it away, because agriculture is about food production and people always eat food. So the market is always there, but it's left to the management of the industry to find those markets and ensure that farmers benefit the most out of it. So, yeah, so that's my way of introduction. I don't know if you want to take any particular area. But
yes, I'll be getting back to this. So yes, thank you for the intro. But Dr. Thompson Fontaine, we are here. I know we have our guest, Mr. Peter Carbon, and we're going to spend most of the time, getting as much as we can from Mr. Carbon. However, just as a point of order here tonight, we have that the 10-pillar plan has actually targeted agriculture front and center with respect to restoring Dominica's economy. We know that's a fundamental part. So just before we ramp up this session, I would just like you, as the person, the initiator, and the man leading the charge on the 10-pillar plan, including agriculture, to just give us just a preamble as to where you think we are heading with this sector.
Yes, so good night again to all listeners, and it's great to be in the company of Mr. Peter Carbon, distinguished agriculturist and the best by far, most outstanding agriculture minister that we have in Dominica. It was under his tutelage and his leadership that the agriculture sector went places in Dominica, and a lot of work was done. I mean, the other day he was telling me some of the things that were done in fisheries, and some of them I was not even conscious, even aware of, to get the fishery centers and all the rest of it, and all of the different work that was done with the Taiwanese in the prawns and in the agriculture and so on, the sweet corn, and so much work that was done. So we want to really thank him for his contribution. And now, we've lost him temporarily, I hope, Mr. Carbon, to the United States. working for the Department of Agriculture there in the US. But he's going to come back on the UWP government
Certainly, certainly.
to give his experience and his expertise, because I know his heart is for Dominica. So we are very happy to have you tonight, of course. And there is a very simple reason why we have put agriculture, as you said, front and center of our 10 pillars. And the major pillar, that's the kind of pillar that if Samson wanted to bring the house down, that's a pillar that he would latch on to, the agriculture pillar. And there's a very simple reason for that. Agriculture is the industry, when it is developed, as we saw already under the leadership of Mr. Honorable Carbon, if it is done well, that is the industry that has the potential for impacting the most lives in Dominica. And the reason why I say that is because 70% of the rural population, of Dominica's population, lives in the rural centers. In other words, 70% of our population lives in what we call the countryside. And that is where agriculture is. That's where the land is for agriculture mainly. And so if you're able to develop that sector, then you're able to touch almost immediately on 70% of the population. So it is a no-brainer if you're thinking of the way forward for a country like ours. You want to choose agriculture. There's another reason for it, an economic reason. In economics, we talk about a comparative advantage. And what we mean is that you want to do what you have the best, what you can do the best at the lowest cost. So, for example, both Dominica and, let's say, Israel, okay, can grow crops, right? Can do agriculture. But we have a comparative advantage in the sense that if you're going to grow crops in Israel, you have to do major irrigation because they are mainly desert. You have to transform the desert. So you're talking about the investments that you have to put in to transform that land to make it get to that point where you can grow the agriculture. Dominica, on the other hand, is naturally disposed to agriculture. You put something in the ground and it grows. You plant a tree and it grows. A guy was telling me, he would put the markers, like when you plant, say, a citrus, like a coffee tree or a cocoa tree, you would put a branch to signify where it is, so that when the
That's
grass grows,
correct.
you can cover it, or
Right.
it is there. Because the amazing thing, they continue to grow. I mean, that's the other thing about Dominica. You plant a crop, the grass grows, but it does not kill it. They
Doesn't.
grow together, right? So you put that stick there to mark it. Now the
Right.
stick that he puts to mark, that stick ends up getting branches and growing itself. That is where the comparative advantage comes in. So
That's right.
compared to another country, we are natural. We have a natural disposition. So it's a natural thing to do. If you're going to really talk seriously about growing this economy, seriously about developing this country, agriculture must be front and center.
Yes, and thank you for this. And we go straight into it. Yes, Peter, I know for sure under the United Workers' Party, when the United Workers' Party took the reins of office in 1995, there was a big transformation in Dominica from crisis to recovery. Everybody remember these words, crisis to recovery. You then took up the Ministry for Agriculture, and in other counties, you've done quite well. Now, I know for sure, at the time when you came in, the banana industry was really at its peak, and farmers made a lot of money, as you rightly said earlier in your introductory speech, that millions of dollars circulated in Dominica. Notwithstanding this, there was also a shift where the United Workers' Party was not only concentrated on the banana industry, which is was a subsector, though the primary sector, but a subsector of agriculture. We move agricultural, non-agricultural crops also from the market. You now tell us what existed before, what you think is still relevant, and the way forward for agriculture in Dominica. You have the ball rolling all the way.
Okay, well, thanks, Soso. Today, we have, as the political leader said, comparative advantage in the sector. You know why? Because everything that we produce in Dominica can be marketed. The way the market is organized today, crops, both fresh and processed crops, are being sold through our store market system. That's only 20, 25 years ago. Before that, people could get fresh produce in the street market. But today, every supermarket, a big part of their business is the sale of fresh produce and processed agricultural products. What is more, they also sell exotic fruits and vegetables. So what was considered, let's say, dashing and plantains and yams and bananas and all what you think about, mammy apple, pineapple, avocado, all those crops which were considered exotic or local, they now are on the market and fetching good prices. So that opened up a tremendous market for us as a country. So it's not only bananas alone. Bananas is still one of the main crops because of the production system in bananas. If you establish a banana crop, you have continuous harvesting, whereas most other crops have seasonal harvesting. So you want to keep your banana industry so that farmers can get a regular source of income to sustain their farm and sustain themselves, but also give them an opportunity to grow the exotic crops, which they can sell and get a larger amount of money, which they can use for reinvestment. So first, I recommend that we get back and re-establish our banana industry. There's no reason why we can't have a very good, productive banana industry. At the same time, we develop the other crop sectors, crop, livestock, fisheries. They all have great opportunities, but you have to put the program together. What I suggest is that we go back to the DBMC model. The reason why I say that, we have a lot of small farmers in Dominica. And small farmers, they require support in the data collection and management, support in the finances, support in input supply. So they require the support, a support structure to give them the opportunity to go out and produce as much as they can. If you look at the history of Dominican agriculture, we had a few estates, and they were managed by real managers and technical people. But because the country now is operated by mainly small farmers, 20 acres, 15 acres, 5 acres, we need a collective collective sector, a collective organization that will use that management and technical skill to support what the farmers are doing. So one thing, you must have a structure. Yes. It can't be government. Government is there to make policies and to supply the legal and support for farmers. You need a business-like operation. They can go in, they can loan money, they can on-lend money, they can make investment. And that is what I think the first move we have to make. Because we need investment in pest and disease control, transportation, we need in input supply, all what the farmers require to go out and produce. We need an institution that will get it at the best, most efficient cost to them. And you need the technical staff that will go and provide the support to the farmers. So that's the first thing you need to do, a national structure to support the production and marketing of our crops. And livestock, crop, livestock, and fisheries. Because they all need the same thing. They all need inputs to give out inputs, output. One of the things that we did, as you said, we moved the export of non-banana crops from $12 million to $37 million in 4 years.
Wow.
37 million.
Wow.
And that was done because we had a good marketing minister in the name of Mr. Norris Charles, who went out, do the work in the marketplace, and say, look, we would like a container of dash in a week. We sit together, organize the production system to allow them to get that continuous supply. Because one of the problems about marketing is that you have to have continuous supply. Because nobody wants to get dashing from you today. You sell for the week, and next week you want another container, you're saying, oh, we haven't got any. They dump it right away and find another supply. So you have to make sure you organize the production so that you can have continuous supply to your markets. So we started that, and we use the contract farming system to get our regular supply. That we can. I don't need to go in details, but contract system means that you give the farmers what they require, so that they can supply what you need. We know it's 9 months. You're going to take dash in 9 months' time. You know he's planted. We monitor your planting to ensure that we have the supply in 9 months' time. And I can give you a little success story.
Yes.
Bello, as you know, was a manufacturing entity in Dominica. Bello's hot peppers was top in the world before hot peppers was a big thing. Now we have hot peppers everywhere. And why I choose pepper? Pepper is one of the ingredients that help restaurants and food supply reduce on the amount of sugar and salt in the produce.
Wow.
As you know, sugar and salt, everybody say salt is for pressure, sugar for diabetes.
Right.
So because they're able to introduce pepper and other ingredients, they can maintain the taste or change the taste by reducing those. So a lot of pepper is now being consumed. But Bello used to do hot peppers, but they imported the puree, the crushed pepper from Costa Rica. So they get them in barrels and they do their thing and they make a bottle pepper. We started with Bello and said, Bello, we want to supply the pepper for you. Give us 6 months.
Right.
And I can tell you, we don't give you detail. In 6 months, we supply all the pepper to Bello, and we started an export of fresh peppers into the United States. The way we did it, I said with contract farming. Select the farmers, give them the inputs, give them plenty material, and ensure that they have the market for their produce. So if Dominican farmers have a target and they get the support, you can depend on them to reach that target. So that's one success story, but there are many others. So you need that institution, that organization. Second thing you need a supply of capital. And I must say, I'm really disappointed because during our state government, we got approval for $96 million for investment in agriculture. That $96 million included a $30 million capital investment direct investment in farmers. And that disappeared somewhere. We had $30 million for the irrigation project, as you remember, so.
Yes, of course.
And then we had support for feeder roads and others. But farmers need a source of funding because any business you have, capital is important. So you need a source of funding. What we try to do, or we are negotiating with the aid bank, is a crop lien system. Because the way the aid bank lend, or still lend, I believe, they expect you to have a salary every month to pay your loan. So agriculture does allow you to have a regular income, but a staggered income. Sometimes you have a lot of money, sometimes you haven't got any. So we're trying to introduce a crop lien system that you pay a percentage of your sales to your loan. So you have $1,000 to be repaid. Sometimes you might pay $400 one time. 2 months might pass, you haven't got anything to pay. But there'll be no additional interest or their charges because that is the system we operate in.
Wow.
So that we must do. Okay. The other thing we attempt to do, or we did, because we actually passed a law in Parliament called the Sale of Produce Act.
Yes, I remember that well.
That Sale of Produce Act was ready to reduce on the pre-lasting problem that face agriculture as a whole. Some people don't want to plant, but they want to harvest. So what the law requires, and it's in the books, it requires that every farmer be registered and have their sale of produce ledger. Every trader in agricultural produce must also be registered as a buyer of agricultural produce. They too have their ledger and their records. When you purchase from a farmer, you include right on his ledger what crop you produce, you purchase, the quantity, and the value of it. So if farmer have his record, you also enter it in your record. Now, what that does, it gives the law enforcement a chance to examine your records to find out where did you get a produce from. So you have, say, 1,000 pounds of plantain, you on the pot, ready to harvest. Somebody report that they lost their plantain. The police can go on the pot and say, look, you bought plantain. Where did you buy it from? Who did you buy it from? They give you the ledger, you see the names. You can follow up those names and see whether they had any plantain and where they harvested. If they didn't have any plantain, then you have a case against them and against the person who bought them. So the system can work, but it was never continued by our present government. And pretty last week continue. A lot of people complain. Just last week, a relative of mine lost about 4 or 5 bags of Tanya. They left their garden today. They went back tomorrow, and the whole Tanya field was gone. So it's disappointing for a farmer to put in all that effort, buy inputs, put it in, and in the end, somebody just harvest it and go ahead with it. So we had something that we tried to reduce on that, but that is not being implemented. So how do we move forward in Dominica? We must have a brand for produce. People must know that when I buy Tanya or Dashin, that is a brand. That brand is Dominica, I think Nature Island
brand.
Nature Island products. Yeah. And branded. So we could either fresh produce or processed produce can use that brand. I'll give you an example. In Florida, our brand is Fresh from Florida. That stamp, when you have it, you can go any part of the world and people know what they're buying. They know it's standard. They know where it came from. So we must have that. Okay? So I suggest, and as you know, so we had 2 packing plants. That was part of our agricultural investment.
That's right.
2 packing plants where we would bring the produce in there, be able to approach it, package them, brand them for export. So people know just taking things from the field and put it in a boat and sell it. We want to know that it's safe, it's of good quality, and then you can sell it on behalf of Dominica. Now, I said part of our program of the United Workers' Party program is agro-processing. The leader was about agro-processing. And sometimes people say agro-processing, they think it's something that's far away. Processing means just washing and packaging, you process. Just drying, you process. Right. Just freezing, you process. So there are a lot of things you can do, like dashing. Frozen dashing is available in the supermarket. You just peel it, you blast freeze it, you package it, and you put it in the freezer. Breadfruit, which we are wasting a lot in Dominica. I can just go in the freezer and pick up a package of breadfruit, that's well packaged from Jamaica. So there's a lot we can do to increase the value of our crop and extend the shelf life of them. I mean, avocado, we have so much waste. Avocado oil is a premium product in the market today. We can just crush the avocado and turn it into oil. So potentially for processing, there's a lot we can do.
Yes, and I'll get back. So we take it to, and let me just get it right because we have listeners, and you made the point that we need a producer organization that's supposed to be responsible for, let's say, marketing, production and marketing, and to give technical guidance. I agree with that 100%. You made the point too that in the time of the United Workers' Party, there was responsible farming with respect to Predial larceny, whereby farmers would have been able to justify that the produce that I sell to the public, of course, is the produce that came from my farm, and that could be verified by record keeping. Right. And you make the point about bridge financing, whereby this is a challenge now, that farmers can't develop their farms because of the fact that they are unable to borrow in the banks or the commercial banks because of the interest rate too high. But again, because of the level of discussion that the government at the time had, the United Workers' Party with the aid bank, there was some kind of accommodation where farmers could have to lend in a lean way, and when they make their bulk, based on their volume, they could pay a amount and maybe not suffer a consistent or monthly payment. That is good. But we recognize something too, and I know that your heart has been close to it. Not only that, we were concentrating on the development of agriculture with respect to thus, manufacturing and the whole idea of converting primary products into secondary products like the banana chips, the breadfruit chips, and so. But one of the greatest recognitions I can recall that was at the time experienced during the United Workers' Party is that the party recognizes that the whole sector, the agricultural sector, we had a sort of fading labor force, whereby farmers were aging, and that there would obviously need to be a replacement, and so you need succession plan. Can you feed us on that? What transpired at that time, and what was some of the initiatives taken to ensure that where we lack, that you fill the gap?
Okay, well, if you go back on the books in Dominica, you'll find that we had a young farmer training and development program.
Wow.
I was very excited. For a matter, I made a presentation on youth and agriculture at an ICA meeting, regional meeting. And then the director had a discussion with us. And Mr. Peltier, who was my chief agriculture officer, and I will tell you why he had Mr. Peltier, because he was an economist, agriculture economist.
Great.
And I realized that's where we needed high technical support. So before we left the meeting, Mr. Peltier presented a proposal to ICA. And they gave us $1 million to start the program. Now, what the program entails is we recruit young people that have access to land at the time. We take them in on attachment with the Department of Agriculture.
Yes.
During that, for a 6 months period, during that time, they'll get training in the technical aspect of agriculture, in the record keeping, farm management, and they would also use that time to prepare a proposal of their farming enterprise.
Right.
So based on their resources, they might decide to do root crops, they might decide to do livestock, they might want to do bananas, whatever they decide to do, they'll have a proposal. At the end of the training, that proposal would be funded by the program. But during that training and development and even implementation program, we paid them a stipend. So they will get income while you're in training, and when they start their program, they'll get an income till they start producing.
Right.
So we recognize that young people, you have to have money to survive. So we will give them, I think we're giving them at the time $500 every month as a stipend. And they
Wow.
use that to maintain themselves during the training, and that will continue during the implementation.
Right.
So hopefully would have, I mean, if you get 40, 50 farmers a year, after 20 years, you know how many farmers would have had? Well-trained, well-organized farmers that be out there producing. That first batch of trainees were in place when we changed the government, and the program was fizzled out. Really disappointed in that, because that was an opportunity for us to get a new cadre, a new batch of farmers to sustain our agriculture. So that is something we must do. We must get the young people involved, because we know they can get a good middle-class life if they enter agriculture and have the kind of support, technical and financial support, that will get them into production.
Yes, and I'm happy that you were able to share that with us, because you talk about ICA, the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, and of course ICA played a very good role with respect to the development of agriculture, even research as well. But interestingly too, and you will recall, and this is still very much relevant with respect to agriculture, whereby, we do things manually in all these days, but also we must recognize the engineering part of agriculture, whereby small farm implements are being used on those farms. And I recall very well That is on, it was under the United Workers' Party that we introduced the posthole diggers for the farmers so that they could get more holes dug per day, mechanically as opposed to manually. And at that time now, posthole diggers were placed in respective catchment areas so that each farmer doesn't own a posthole digger, but instead what you have is a catchment management of a posthole digger. So whenever work is being done or carried out within that catchment, farmers could borrow, send for it, borrow, maintain, and whatever it is, and that happened. And obviously, that in itself has increased, production in its own way. And also, we had tillers at the time, and I know at the time too, although we are largely dependent on rain-fed agriculture, but it is a fact too that we had drains being dug because we had areas in Dominica where you had high moisture content, and we wanted to reduce the water content in the soil. And we had what they call a massive drainage operation under the United Workers' Party government, whereby farmers were given drain, even farm infrastructure, sheds, roads. So all these things complemented agriculture and sustained the production. Today we don't see much of that, and that to me is a big problem. And I remember,
well, as you know,
yes,
as everybody would know, yes, technology is what increased production.
That's correct.
If you remain in the 50s and 60s when there was no technology, your productivity is maybe 5% of what it could be. So, as you rightly say, you have to go with the times. You have to use technology to help your farmers, make life easier for them, and increase their productivity. So we bought 46 tillers while in office, and they were placed in every region. And the system was farmers had to just request the tiller and pay for the gas. Once they give us the gas, we would send an operator to go and till for them. But if we use 5 gallons or 4 gallon gas, they pay for the gas, and that's all. And that's the way we supported farmers. We had those posthole diggers, which would maybe increase the digging of banana holes by 5 times, because with a posthole digger, you can dig 500 holes in a day.
That's correct.
Compared to 50 or 60. So you had to increase technology. And so just thinking about technology, today, everybody has a phone. You know what that phone could mean for your production marketing and forecasting of your production? If we use that, give a farmer, have an app where every farmer can put in what they planned and give an estimated time it will be ready for harvest, and how that could facilitate our marketing. So there's a lot of technology now that has changed over the last 20 years that could have transformed agriculture back in Dominica, and make it easy, life easier for farmers and help them make more money, So, nothing has changed in Dominica agriculture. We have gone real far backwards. In terms of fisheries, I would like to maybe mention fisheries.
Yes, about the fisheries industry. Yes.
As you know, we have a lot of water. We have a lot of fish in our waters. The problem with us in Dominica, when the fishermen are catching fish, we flood the market, and it's difficult to sell fish. Prices go down, they get disappointed, they're going on fish. We have a fisheries headquarters in Roseau, and 2 sub, one in Portsmouth and in Marigot. What we ensured is that we had a fish marketing system. Apart from the improved technology we had, like long line fishing and all technology in fishing, we had a blast freezer in Roseau. So we had 2 refrigerated trucks. The fisheries division was available 24 hours a day. Somebody on standby, waiting for a fisherman to call for any extra fish they can't dispose of. Because fishermen had to put their fish on ice, the fish was always of good quality.
Wow.
We would put them in the refrigerator truck, weigh them, put them in the truck, blast freeze them in Roseau, and every Friday we paid the fishermen. So fishermen didn't have to say, boy, I can't sell my fish tonight, or use their time trying to sell the fish, and tomorrow they can't go and fish. They just call the fisheries, the way they prepare for tomorrow, go and catch more fish.
I can see, right.
Okay? And we have a system of preserving and storage of that fish. All, as you remember, there was ban on selling fish on the roadside. Nobody could sell fish on the roadside. You remember that?
No, of course, it was
Because
banned.
quality of fish goes down, people get hurt by fish poisoning, and
Was the name?
it
Yes,
really,
yes.
I mean, going back in the 50s, how people have buckets selling fish on the roadside and whatever. That was banned. Every fish retailer used to get fish directly from the fisheries and go and do their retailing. We also do things like try things like saltfish, making our own saltfish. We make special steaks for hotels and for restaurants. We exported a lot of fish. But what was important is that when we had a lot of fish being caught, there was storage space to keep it. So when there's no fish, we could still have fish for our people retail. Because I hear people now advertising fish, imported fish, salmon. I mean, Dominica, we
Yes.
catch enough fish in a year that if we properly manage it, that we can have fish for the whole year,
Oh, yeah.
under the season. So we lost in fisheries, but we had a lot of technical support from the Taiwanese to develop our shrimp industry, or tilapia,
Remember,
fresh fish,
from
freshwater fish.
farm.
We were looking at crab production, and that was one of my baby. I really looking forward to it, that we could get a few crab farms, because as you know, Dominica is crab back is a specialty of Dominicans.
Dominica,
Look
that
at
is
what
correct.
part of the world you live. You see our past leader almost took jail for trying to carry
For
crab back.
crabs.
And there is, I mean, crab farming is done all over the world.
All over the world.
But we were getting technology from the Taiwanese to help us establish crab farms. And that technology is abandoned on Donkey Beach. I think we should take a photograph of that building one of those days, with all the computers, all the VATs, temperature control, and all what. It was a marine hatchery that we get.
Wow.
There is none in the Caribbean, and we got support to establish a marine hatchery. We also had a shrimp hatchery in Jimit, and if you remember that,
Of
in
course.
Jimit, right opposite
Prawn
Coconut Product.
farming. Yes, prawn farm.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
all that
We have had about
investment
10.
I remember.
We have had about
does,
10.
does disappear. So and we used to work with farmers now to put their own prawn farms. Remember the guy that had problem in Menvin Hall with his and so forth. So that is where you had opportunity for investment. Somebody could come. If somebody come to Dominica now, let's say a returning Dominican come and they say, "Boy, I want to do something. I want to invest the money."
Some
There's
shrimp, yes.
nothing
No,
for him to
free.
invest. Whereas if you had those industries, people go in and put in money and invest and produce. Okay, so fisheries have a lot of potential, but we have gone backwards, maybe 100 years backwards in fisheries. Okay, now livestock. I hear again today. I understand the amount of money that we export because of our livestock production. First thing you had to do for livestock was to ensure a good feed supply. So we had a feed mixing plant being established in Jimit. All the equipment were there, ready to start mixing. We would use a lot of local products like coconut product, oily coconut, and waste from the field. We could use that at that, but we get protein source from a company in Trinidad who had agreed to, because the quantity we needed to start off was lower than the minimum they would sell. So we work with Trinidad to get some from them. Okay, that was on the way. It disappeared. We had a breeding unit up in Savagnac. I know that, a pig breeding unit, high class breeding unit that we established
I remember.
on top by Salisbury Heights.
Side, yes, the heights.
Yes, Savagnac. And that was supposed to provide enough piglets for breeders. Breeders we were producing there so that farmers could get the breeders and get their piglets and establish the pig industry. Pig pork production was almost self-sufficient in Dominica, We are self-sufficient in pork production. We had the group from the east that used to be producing, and selling, retailing pork every day, every weekend. Okay. Now the idea was to move the livestock station from stock farm, where it was in the old days, and bring it up in the heights of Mount Prosper. Government has
Wow.
some land up there, and the whole idea was to develop up there and move the livestock station there. They use the money, they bring it down in Melvin Hall, and the whole place is abandoned now. You can't find anything down there, you know. So I said technology was important, and I just remember in technology, we had a tissue culture laboratory funding for that. And they put it, they were supposed to be in Lapland. They take it, they put it down in Melvin Hall in the airport, airport area in
In
Londonderry.
the airport, yeah, Londonderry.
There's where's the money there, and it's abandoned. Never produce a plant. You know, so we lost a lot. I mean, if we have to sit down and name the number of the amount of investment that we had in agriculture to modernize the sector, to ensure that farmers have all the support they need and make money. You know, imagine communities that used to make $6-7 million a year is now down to maybe a couple $100,000 from agriculture. You
Okay.
know, I mean, that is a big blow to our people. Now, what it has done is make our people believe that they're helpless. They're good for nothing. Our people have got no skills, they have no talent. They're just supposed to sit down and wait to see if they get something. That's the mood our people has gotten, especially young people that doesn't know better. Because anybody 40 years, 45 years, not know that there are people in their community that used to make $5,000 for the month. They are their own farm, they build a house, they buy their vehicle, they send the children to school. They didn't have to depend on anybody, you know. I mean, no, you go to campaign. I know the political leader will say that. And everybody asking me for something. When I run for election, it's the people in my community that support my election. They pay the bosses, they buy the t-shirts, they do the campaign, they invest, they had money, they could actually invest in my campaign. I didn't have to wait for people outside,
L'argent
you
de
know.
cash l'argent. L'argent de cash
Yeah, and they were able to help you. I mean, the church is now struggling because people haven't got money to put in collection, you know, and before farmers had no problem in putting their collection because they had money, you know. So our people, I mean, when I go to Dominica, there's a sense of helplessness. That's why I believe our political leader has really motivated people to a new beginning because you say, look, have this 10 pillar and my job is prosperity. My job is bring back a state, your community in a way that you can make money. You're confident you can stay in your community, make money, and develop yourself and your family. That is what we have lost, you
Yes,
know?
and I'm happy you said, Pete, I'm listening to you here, and I would swear that you are the Minister of Agriculture because as if that you feeling is that is going to be done tomorrow. But I will give our
You know,
political
that's so
leader
true. You know, I was just listening
now to
to, I
chime
was
in.
listening to,
Yes.
to Honorable Carbon there, and look at the amount of things that were done in
Right.
5 years, within the space of 4.5 years.
1.5 years.
You know, so what that does, it offers a glimpse, and I'm glad we're having this conversation tonight because it offers a glimpse into what is possible. It
Mhm.
also shows how huge a failure this government has been with regards to agriculture because all of those things that were mentioned were things that were already in place and they have now been done away with. And he did not even mention the fact that the coconut water experiment was done here in Dominica. Dominica was where the coconut water thing was first, the technique to preserve was done in Dominica under the United Workers' Party government. Now, Indonesia is the one that's benefiting that have the coconut water on the shelves in the United
Everybody
States,
else, Brazil, Indonesia,
except
um,
Dominica.
Philippines, everybody have coconut water on the market.
So let's take this caller. Let's
Yes,
take this caller.
caller. Good evening.
All right, let's try this. All right.
Yes, caller.
Yes, caller.
Yes, good evening. Good evening, Tutu
Good evening, good evening.
and Mr. Carbon.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, Mr. Carbon, I heard you mention a pellet that was part of your agricultural your ministry. Are you free to say which pellet is that?
Joey Peltier from Port Michel. Yeah, that was my
Okay.
right hand man.
I have a reason. I have a reason.
Oh, we've lost
Okay,
this
we
caller.
lost it.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
let's go to the line. We have another
Yes,
caller.
caller, good
Caller,
evening
good
to
evening.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Good evening to you and your guests.
You're welcome,
Good
man.
evening, good
Um,
evening.
I have been listening, Mr. Carbon, and I remember the prawns. I mean, what happened to the prawns? There was a whole. I saw the remnants of some lab somewhere around Donkey Beach, just there rusting, and I knew that prawns had money. I mean,
Yep.
Dominicans were eating crayfish, introducing prawns and having them in our ponds would save our local crayfish, and Dominicans could continue to eat crayfish, and it would be profitable. So I really want to know why this next administration couldn't make the prawn industry thrive. I really can't understand why not. We got the water. It's not so difficult. I mean, can you tell me why they failed, Mr. Carbon?
I can tell you why they fail, but what I feel, the government do not want people to make money. That's my conviction.
Bottom line, yeah.
Yeah, did not want people to make money because if people make money, they can think for themselves, they can act for themselves. So you
Okay,
must always be in a mood where you have to depend on them for your
We have a
survival.
caller.
all right.
We have a
Let's go
caller.
back to the caller. Yeah.
Yes, yes, caller, go ahead.
Yes, gentlemen, technology. I don't know what happened. It seems I got disconnected. What part of my contribution did you all get
We
about
got
Mr.
the we got
Peltier?
the
We
first
mostly
part.
got
You,
everything
you
about the
were
pro
saying
factor.
why you
That
wanted
was the
to
question. Yes,
I don't know
yes.
who it was.
Yes, yes. I was saying, Mr. Peltier, those of us who are around at the time and know that Mr. Peltier wasn't affiliated to the United Workers' Party. We know which party Mr. Peltier was affiliated to. Yet the United Workers' Party had no problem whatsoever of employing Mr. Peltier because they know he had the expertise. Compared to what is happening now, whether you have the expertise or no, if you're not affiliated to the Labour Party now, you cannot eat a bread. You cannot. They will fraud. Well, no matter what brilliant idea you have, they will not accept it. As Vince himself said in the House that sometime when the United Workers, I can't remember if it's Mr. James or whatever, one of them made a contribution. They say he says a brilliant contribution, but it's coming from the wrong party. And Mr. Carbon, what advice would you have to give to the United Workers' Party when they get into office? Because I don't believe a farmer should plant and look for market. I don't believe a fisherman should go and fish all day and have to be on the road trying to sell his fish. So what advice do you have to give to the government in terms of getting market for the farmers and the fishermen? Do you think it would be more productive, more profitable getting regional market or international market? Up to you, Mr. Carbon.
Very good question. As I said before, today, 80% of agricultural produce is being sold by supermarket. What we will do, I say we'll go to the capitals where we have a lot of Dominicans, Caribbean people, either rent shelf space and display our product there for sale. I think that's the easiest way to start it off. And as people get to know our products and the supply is there, we know we'll get expanded market. But we need to do processing too. Instead of sending dashing, we have a processing of getting dashing, chopping it up, freeze it, and bag it and sell it in bags. So somebody can just take a bag of dashing, 1 pound, and just go and cook. Because that one thing, people are going to peel the yam, then there's a problem. That's what I do here. I buy my stuff, I peel them, chop them up, and in the freezer, and when you're ready, just put it in the pot and you cook it.
Okay, we have several callers, gentlemen. So let's go
Yes.
back to the
You
telephone.
round up in your round it up. Yeah.
Yes, caller.
Yes,
Go ahead,
caller, good
please.
evening.
Hello, good night.
Yes, speak a little louder.
Good night.
Yeah, what Mr. Carbon saying there is totally true. No more than true about the Southern York and the farm and all what you say. It's true for 100% true. And what else, part of that. Anyway, good night. Take it easy.
Thank you very much, caller. We have more callers. So let us go back to the telephone.
Yes, certainly.
Good evening, caller.
Yes, gentlemen, $40 a pound, you know. Selling for. I heard it this morning on Matt's commercial. His infomercial, as a matter of fact.
$40
$30
a
and
pound.
$40.
Wow.
How can you not make money on that if you're producing it right here?
Wow.
Fresh.
Yes.
And I'm seeing some postings where a lot of that stuff is being manufactured artificially. It's not even real. I don't know if the ones selling here are real, but we're seeing posts where they're fabricating them in a factory out of and putting them in a mold.
They're farmers. They're farmers. This is what same way is to Dominica. Farmers, they have the ponds and they raise them there.
Yeah, no.
So that's it is. Yeah.
Certain videos going on social media that shows that people actually manufacturing them. But I will tell you, we were doing ours in the freshwater. Belize has a program where they sell just hundreds and hundreds of container loads of shrimp and lobster to the United States, because what they do, they use the sea instead of the fresh water. They use the sea. They have a way of capping off the like close to the coast, and then they grow that in a natural environment, and they just harvest that and making literally hundreds of millions of dollars from that industry. That is something we can copy easily. So the point is, and I'm very happy that we're having this discussion. I can't say how thankful I am to you, Carbon, for that, because what you've just done is that you have shown the Dominican public, especially our younger audience, who would not have been there during the time of the United Workers' Party, and who probably all they know is the complete ignoring of the agriculture sector by the Labour Party. But now they're hearing that there was a party in office that actually took agriculture seriously and were actually doing things in fishing, in root crops, in coconut water, you listed, you gave a whole list, prawn farming and so on. So what that tells us is that we are not just there talking. When we say as a party we're going to reintroduce agriculture in a big way so that people can make money, we are not just pulling things out of thin air. We are going based on that experience, but also taking into consideration the new developments. And that's the reason why our agriculture will be heavily focused on the agro-processing part of it. So when we do agriculture, we are going to add value. I like the fact that we can sell dashing to Martinique and Guadeloupe, but I love it even more that we can process and sell. Because even when we sell, we used to be selling spice. Spice is now $40 what we call kernel is now $40 a pound, right? Now you're getting $40 for that pound of spice when you sell to the French Islands. But what do? They grind this thing down.
Order that down.
You talked about what manufacturing is. They grind the $40 that we sell it to them for. They grind that down and they resell in some cases, because that's a major ingredient in the condiments in the
culinary art.
And health too. In health too.
And health is health as well.
Right, but you know how big the French are on cakes and gâteau and so on. They love their gâteau, and these people making 4 or 5 times what they're buying it from us for.
But
they're happy to pay us the $40, but because they make $150, $170 from it.
Yes, Doc. Have we done anything to start propagating spice for establishing spice farms
But
or
that's
use that windbreaks.
that
That's
big
what we should be doing
money.
now.
That
We
big
should be
That's
money.
correct.
making
Exactly.
windbreaks or conserving areas with spice because we
Well,
know that's a
Simon,
crop.
hold on. You've excited our listeners, so everybody's trying to get in. Let's make sure
Okay, good.
all the lines are going. Good night, caller.
Good
good night.
evening, gentlemen. Very interesting program.
Yes,
Yes,
good
so,
evening.
Honorable Harold.
Um, I I happen to have had some exposure during my career in agriculture, and I recall that after the BBPL DAPEX had lost the UK market, they ventured on selling and focusing not only on bananas but on all crops, and that's why they call the company Dominica Agricultural Producers and Exporters Limited, as opposed to Dominica Banana Producers Limited. And what that taught me when we started going to the markets like Barbados, Trinidad, Martinique, and others, is that there's a tremendous market opportunity right at our doorstep. It also showed me that bananas was probably one of the lowest price crops among the 21 crops that we exported. And so banana is a volume full. If you have to send a container, a 40-foot container, you need probably 50%, 60% of that in bananas and maybe plantains. But then when you have other crops, like we did limes, we did yams, we did avocados, we did passion fruit, we did a mammy apple, we did a range of other crops. And these crops actually had good prices that could make sense to ship them up in a container. And so I'm saying that even around us, the opportunity for really setting the proper standards for processing and packaging of those crops. There's a marketing opportunity because the people in the region, they now have, some people have more disposable income and they're a little more sophisticated. So like Mr. Carbon said, they actually shop in supermarkets, and in these supermarkets in the region, people buy fresh produce. And so it is an opportunity for us, and we have to look at it. But in all of that, especially south of Dominica, where there is a bigger population in terms of population centers in Barbados, in Martinique, in Trinidad, for example, where there are marketing opportunities, we have a problem with transportation. And so any government coming into office and they're serious about agriculture and agricultural marketing, they have to address the whole question of transportation to the market. Because even if you produce and it cannot get to the market, then you have an issue. And so it has to be that holistic approach of production, marketing, and transportation. Thank you, gentlemen. Very good program.
Yes, thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you.
And the guy who just spoke there, this is Mr. Emmanuel, my former manager of DAPEX and the banana industry. Did a lot of work. But let me take some of the comments there that we'll put up there before we move forward. We say, one person saying here is that, excellent program, gentlemen. Somebody is saying, you guys giving too much information and still it's falling on deaf ears. Obviously, we have been saying that before. And I'm just saying, my opinion is no advice to this government. They have overstayed the time. They need to go. And somebody again is saying, you guys you all were not just talking, but you all were walking that talk. But one day we'll get back Dominica on its feet. And somebody is saying, Scared Cell Agriculture is a has-been industry. Well, they have already seen it has been industry. And Mr. Peter, come on. I know we're out of time, but I wouldn't give you a time to round up in a while. But just as you were talking about the spice, it's the same thing I was saying the other day. The gardens, not that it is an agricultural place, but we could have actually ruralize the gardens where it could be more comfortable and conducive for relaxation. But also too, because you have more sunlight than shade, and while we have a lot of shade, we could have utilized the shade because they are also what they call shade-tolerant crops, like ginger, like vanilla. You could actually have experiment there when the tourists come. You could grow those crops and have them processed in front of the tourists, and they could say, you could have something they call pay to participate. So the tourists would pay a little fine, a little money, and they would actually get involved in just doing a little thing and can even buy their little package of powdered ginger, and also probably get some, confectionaries out of vanilla. So a lot can be done. So yes, we are out of time, gentlemen. But
Yes, so it's a pity we don't have much time, but a very quick point about what you mean, and I saw it in St. Lucia.
yes,
They take the tourists to see how the cocoa is grown and processed,
that's
and
correct.
and people are fascinated. That's the chocolate that you like so much.
Yep.
Here's how it's made. Feel
Yeah,
it, smell it,
yes,
taste it.
very good.
But these are things that we can do. So
Yeah,
there's just so much,
yeah,
and so little time. I think we have to revisit that topic again because, like I
yes.
said, agriculture for us, for the United Workers Party going forward, is front and center of our 10 pillar project. This is a means of ensuring that we get money into the pockets of the average Dominicans. This is not a highty-tighty industry. It's an industry for the average Dominican. And one thing I've noticed is that Dominicans, they have access to land. I mean, I'll give you, and even people coming in, you know, we have been buying. I'll give you a very quick example. We have been buying dashings, and there was a mix up last weekend where we had ordered a certain quantity from an individual, and on the morning going to pick up from this individual, they did not realize it was a mistake. So if we'd asked for £1,000, they gave 500. We wanted the extra £500, and guess who? The person said, "Well, we can get that quickly from the Haitians." The Haitians have come into Dominica, and they've been able they have not bought the land. They have gone to the landowners, and they're basically been told to work the land. They work the land, and they give the landowners something for it, you know. But these are people who are coming outside and having access to land. These lands are belonging to the people in those villages who have the land available to them. So when you begin to work the agriculture, the money is going to go into the hands of these individuals. And that's why we are so excited about the prospects for agriculture. Dominica agriculture is coming back big. It's coming back it's going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry again in Dominica. And we're going to be putting money into the pockets of the Dominican public. So can we take a final call?
Final call, and then we wrap it up.
We are
Yes,
out of
final
time,
call.
but
We are out of time already. Yes. Good night,
we
caller.
missed a lot of
And
callers.
just be quickly.
Mr. Fountain, good night to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Good night.
And Mr. Whitford Hill, I just
Carbon. Yeah.
and so.
Yes, good evening to you, my brother.
Okay, one of the things, because I know I'm on limited time, one of the things I would like to Mr. Fountain to do, that type of level of education. He does have a program on Sunday afternoon. I believe he need to get some more sponsors from the people outside and even locally to continue, because I've been listening to some conversations some time back, and I believe Dominica could have one of the biggest universities. For the past months, I've been listening to Ken Green and Mr. Raphael, Mr. Jolly, Mr. Sobers, Mr. Johnson, which is a manager of the airport, and some other younger people. And it's just brilliant idea. And I listened to a show this day with Mr. Alvin, and the man is giving the whole Caribbean statistics on shipping and importing and what we exporting, the level of money. And I'm begging Mr. Sheridan Gregoire to have a lengthy program when people are awake, because some of his shows, they have them back to back. The Tuesday night, Labour have a show. Tuesday night, he have a show. His show supposed to be on Monday night. And you need to a show in the day to educate the people, not politics. If you listen to these guys' conversation, you listen to a program today with Mr. Alvin. That is a Cambridge. These people outside of Dominica could be listening. The leaders, what information Alvin is giving the other Caribbean island, the ministers and who directors of finance, don't give him that information. And they're supposed to be listening to us. Dominica is supposed to be the biggest Cambridge. And I totally agree with Mr. Peter. Mr. Peter, I used to have tree farming. I know you know what speaking is running. That is just after Wycliffe.
Yeah, I know.
I closed down a vanilla farm there with flowers, vanilla, sweet potato,
pineapple. It was just a mother farmer. They had a farm in Londonderry which is planting, and another one in Barrow which is planting. I used to give kettle from send you $100 every week. I got one plant and I do have a factory. The first thing is I believe what Mr. Carbon is saying there and Mr. Alvin is saying. We have to do all those things. We have to buy our boats. We have to get together. We have to put our resources together, as Alex Bruno was saying. And I believe too many energy going on the government because look, I just come from NDFD, which is helping all the small business in Roseau. They always look at grants people, loans people getting it from NDF. And I'm telling them, do the ministers come there, the Minister of Trade come there, do the Prime Minister come there. This is where the Prime Minister and the Minister of Trade have to come. The very same thing Carbon is saying, the manufacturing, marketing, shipping. I've been begging Mr. Joseph and I'm trying, but them alone, they have to borrow resources to loan to small business, and that's where the government supposed to come in.
Yes, thank
I'm
you.
very passionate, my brother. I'm a farmer. Good night.
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you. So, farmer, keep hope alive. Let's tell this farmer to keep hope alive because the United Workers Party in government will revitalize the agriculture sector and do exactly what he's talking about. The shipping part will be organized, the marketing will be organized, the young people will be making money, so they'll have no problem getting into it, whether it's in advertising or marketing or doing the apps, we'll get them involved.
Yes, so let me say that we have come to the end of the program. So, Mr. Carbon, just give us your closing remarks.
I just want to make one more point before I close. In Florida, the Department of Agriculture has a chef, a whole department, and their role is to get the population to use the product, local product. In Dominica, we have to find a way to get our people to use what we have to substitute all the imports we have. And we can do it. We have people who can prepare yam. You never had a yam pie? If you yam pie, you don't want macaroni pie again, So I mean, there are things we can do, like yam pie. I believe we can parboil the yam, crush it, add the cheese, and all you have to do is add the water and bake it. You understand? But we need food technologists that will be able to do that research and do it in a way that it can be used. I'll give an example. But in closing, I must say, I think Dominica's problem is governance. And because our system was removed party politics from the government, the party is one entity, the government is another entity. And it's the first time we had the party and the government made one in Dominica. And that is one of the biggest hurdles we have. You go and you run politics as a party, but when you win and you get the majority, you form the government, you have to leave your party behind and operate the country for everybody. And I think that is the biggest mistake that Labour Party made. And they are stuck with it. They are stuck. The country not producing, people are getting mad, people live in the country because they try to run the country with the party. Thank you and good night.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Fontaine, your closing remarks, sir?
Just to say thank you to Peter for sharing with us and bringing us back to what was and reminding us what is in fact before us. And to the Dominican public, do not lose hope. We are ready, the United Workers Party is, to transform this country, and agriculture will be at the center of this transformation because it will bring again money, agriculture, fishing, and it's the essential oil industry, combined for water industry, is going to do well for Dominica. We have seen it. We know it's possible. It will come through careful planning. It will come through an understanding that we have the resources, we have the comparative advantage in agriculture, that we can in fact feed the rest of the Caribbean countries. And even beyond that, it comes with the understanding that we can transform agriculture through our agro industry. It comes with the understanding that the young people will once again get involved and engaged in agriculture. They may not want to necessarily go and plant the fig or the plantain, as I was doing today when I lost my phone, but they certainly may want to do the other areas. They can build apps for the farmers to keep track of their planting and their so on. They can help the farmers in marketing the items. They can help in designing the packaging. So there are so many areas that the young people can get involved in this new agriculture, as we said. So I'm very excited personally about this. The party is very keen on promoting agriculture because we understand that is what is going to put money back into the pockets of the Dominican public, so that they do not have to depend on a government for $300, that they do not have to depend on a government for a 500 or a one-time cadeau for voting of $1,000, because they'll have their own money. They'll be able, as Carbon said, to sponsor, their favorite politician, because they have the money to do it. That is where we are headed. That is where we'll get to, and we are going to do so with the support of the Dominican public. So thanks to all those who listen tonight. We know that many of you also tried to call. We're sorry we're not able to get all of the calls, but we are truly, truly excited about this, and something that we continue to plan. And with the expertise of persons like Peter Carbon and others who have already indicated a willingness to provide their knowledge. We had, for example, with us earlier, Errol Emmanuel, a very good agriculturist, and we have others like that with the expertise who are willing to come on board with us to ensure that we succeed. And so I'm excited tonight. It's great. It's a good discussion, and I think the people, based on the comments that we have seen, people are definitely supporting that particular move. Thank
Yes,
you.
and let me just say thank you to all. Just the last comment, one of the persons been there. Don't forget the cannabis industry. We'll concentrate on that another time. And one person saying the excellent presentation, my friend Peter Carbon, and somebody else saying that, the party is one entity and the government is a separate entity. Biggest mistake, we are stuck now. Well, we'll get unstuck. So let me just say good night to everyone. This has been the Workers' Voice. Mr. Peter Carbon, thank you very much for that wealth of knowledge. I mean, we feel confident going forward with agriculture under the United Workers' Party, with your intervention and intervention of many others. As we close this program, we say good night and thanks for participating. Until next time,
Good night, Crystal.
thank you very much.
Thanks, political leader. Good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
If you really want, you can get it if you really want. You can get it if you really want, but you must try and try. Try and try. You'll succeed at last.